Hello everybody, what is up, and welcome to the one and only episode 5 of the PS ProCast. My name is Christian Buckley, and I'm joined by my fellow PSF member, Omar Nakvi.
Hello.
If you don't know, the PS ProCast is where myself, Omar, and some PSN friends here or there get together and talk PlayStation and the gaming industry every week. Then the show is broken up into 4 different segments that get released Monday through Thursday. Then the show in its entirety gets posted on Friday on our YouTube channel, or as an MP3 on SoundCloud, linked down below. You can also email us your questions to psfollowers@gmail.com. What's up, Omar?
Oh man, not too much. You?
It's been a pretty busy week of school stuff, but
Yeah.
Fridays are basically my day off, so I finally got to dive into Mass Effect decently.
Nice. You digging that?
Here's the thing, so I got it delivered on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I only put maybe an hour in, and then I posted the first hour of gameplay earlier in the week, or last week, I guess, when this goes up. But
Yeah.
so the first few hours, a little bit slow.
I feel like every Mass Effect game is pretty slow at the beginning, though, right?
with the exception of 2, yeah.
Yeah, two. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
No, but I remember I was thinking about what you were saying about your impressions when I was starting it out, about how the story doesn't really give you a good enough explanation as to how the Pathfinder thing works, you know?
Yeah, I feel like the Pathfinder stuff feels like if you've just been thrown into it, like your royalty, right? You just got passed down from your father.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some responses on the ship too. Like there's that one lady who gets mad at you about being a Pathfinder,
Yeah,
and you can
Cora.
tell her like, actually address me as the Pathfinder because my dad just gave me this position like 6 hours ago.
Yeah.
Like some weird stuff.
There's obviously the whole deal with the bugs and the animation glitches and everything.
Yeah.
As of right now, I'm about 10 hours in, and my biggest problem that I've encountered with the game has been stuttering and frame rate drops.
That's a bummer. It does look pretty nice though sometimes.
Yeah, I was just on the last night. I was playing for a while, and I got onto I believe the planet's called Void,
Mm-hmm.
VOED, or Voled maybe, I forget.
Is that after
But
EOS?
yes, it's a snow planet.
Oh, awesome.
It looks beautiful.
Cool.
Like everything about that. There's a huge blizzard going on all the time. There's mountains. There's like ice caps. It looks great. And we were saying this last week. The world and even the character models and most of the stuff in this game is very good looking. The only downsides I'd have to say are, again, the faces, because it's only natural when you compare, or playing this, I guess, comparisons come up to something like The Witcher 3, which, again, we mentioned before, amazingly impressive visuals in that game. But I was thinking about this too, even something comparable to, like, this, I'd say, is Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
Even with that, though, the world is obviously a different setup, but far and away the faces and animations in Final Fantasy 15 outshine Andromeda's. But
Yeah.
I don't know, like, for me at least, the whole facial animation controversy isn't detracting from my experience too much. The biggest issue has been, like I said, the frame rates and the stuttering.
Yeah, I think obviously the facial animation and all that stuff has been overblown on the internet for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think when you're making a game about like the characters in this universe that you want to feel very fond of and stuff and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little bit more important here than say something like, I don't know, a Demon Souls.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's a bummer here about the frame rate stuff. But is the story stuff getting better for you then about like the Pathfinder stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
In my experience, at least so far, I'd say it's been picking up, and I've been reading a few places too that the narrative for the whole situation around this game seems to be changing, and I think a lot of it is because technically all the issues that were coming out was pre-release, and not everybody could get their hands on it. And as the game's been going on, the story has been intriguing me a lot more. I think around the 3 or 4 hour mark, you end up getting the entire crew together, And once you enlist your final crew member, his name's Jal. He's my favorite crew member so far.
Yeah.
Very cool. He's the newer race that they've introduced for Andromeda.
Wait, is he a Ket?
No, he's Angala, I believe, is what it's called.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. I thought the only new race they had in this game was the Ket, and I was kind of bummed about that.
No, yeah, the Angala are very cool looking creatures. They, you know Kit Fisto from Star Wars?
No.
He's the green alien with like the dreads, kind of, but they're like tentacles.
What movies?
The prequels.
I don't know if I do, but
Okay.
yeah, I'll say I do.
Okay, well, they sort of look like a feline mixed with some sort of Star Wars-ish looking tentacle head creature.
Right.
They look really cool, and Jal is a very interesting character because he's very... Their whole race is spoken about to be very emotional with how they read situations and interpret things and react to things, which I like a lot. It adds a lot of depth to him, and you sort of get to explore that whole race through him, and he's a different sort of... He goes against the grain of what a society is, so learning about his race through the different perspective is really interesting. So... Yeah. I mean, with any RPG like this, most of the time, for your own individual experience, you get more entwined in the story you make for yourself rather than the main quest. There are occasions where, like, the developers blow your mind with everything in the game, like something like The Witcher, but with this, I've been really intrigued in the world and the different interspecies relations and stuff like that. And it was the same way with me in the original Mass Effect trilogy, but I think Andromeda is really offering new things when it comes to the races we already know, and then supplying new twists and turns and spins on things with newer races. But all in all, first impressions, I'm digging it. I like it. I'm not disappointed. I didn't think I was going to be disappointed. I know what I'm getting into with a Mass Effect game. I'm expecting it to look like a Mass Effect game, and it does, but yeah, that's sort of my general thoughts on everything.
It's definitely a Mass Effect game. I don't think anyone's like doubting that. Mm-hmm. But it definitely seems like they had a really hard task of like, following up the third game and the way the fans reacted to that. Where I do feel like the fan base for Mass Effect just seems like some of the craziest people around when they're really mad about something.
Yeah, that's
we talked about this last week too, but yeah, I'm still gonna check it out at some point. It looks cool. Mm-hmm. I've also heard, like, I think Jal is the internet favorite so far. I've seen him about on Twitter a bunch.
Yeah, Jal, probably after the first mission and being introduced to him, he pulled a Garrus and he earned a permanent spot on my team, like on my squad going out, because like everything about that character I like a lot.
You said you got the party together in like 4 hours?
Yeah, there's only 6 crew members.
That seems pretty fast for a Mass Effect game.
You start, once you get your ship, you start out with 2 already.
Oh, right, yeah, Liam and Cora?
Actually, no, you start with 3.
Liam, Cora, Vetra.
Yeah, right. I forgot about Liam.
Oh, no.
No, yeah, so you start out with, you have Liam, Vetra, and Cora, and then through your time on Eos, you end up getting PB and Drac, the Asari and the Krogan, and then as the story progresses a little further, you end up getting Jal.
Cool.
So, yeah, I mean, the story's been picking up again. I was kind of expecting it to, but the first couple days of playing it, it wasn't really hooking me a ton. It wasn't until I ended up meeting the whole Angala race and learning that whole side story, I really wanted to dive in even further and just keep playing for a few hours, but I'm looking forward to see where it goes.
Should ask, how are the like, have you met any like loyalty missions and stuff like that? You done any of those?
I'm doing one now, actually.
How's it?
Actually, no, I started Drax.
Yeah.
Because it was about, there was a uprising probably a handful of years before the human arc showed up, and there was a fallout among the Krogan that were there and some of the other species. So Drac is a Krogan, and he's related to a staff member on the Nexus who has a higher ranking position, and she's a Krogan. So through Drac's loyalty mission, you have to go work with the Krogan on the Nexus and track down some guy who's been being really shady, doing backdoor deals with some of the people who were exiled from the Nexus and stuff like that. So it is a multi-step process, which I would say is deeper than what the loyalty missions were in 2 at least. Because I spent my most, I fully explored 2 as much as I could.
Yeah.
And it felt like in 2, the loyalty missions were usually just conversations. Can we go to this planet, do this mission, get this thing done? Then you can let Shepard have sex with me. But the loyalty missions in this, they seem much more, do this objective, now do this one, wait a little bit before you can do this one, keep going here, go to this planet, find this thing, talk to this person. And it's sort of like, it's more fleshed out.
So I gotta ask, I think a lot of people were expecting this game to be like Dragon Age Inquisition X in terms of side quests and stuff. Like, does it feel like those side quests are they good side quests? Are they like, is the writing okay with them? Like, is it more like a fetch thing, or is it like actual like kind of Witcher-esque in terms of like cool side stories?
I'd say it's somewhere in between.
Okay.
Again, you do have multiple galaxies, I guess. No, not galaxies. Solar systems to explore in the Andromeda galaxy. And like in previous Mass Effect games, there are certain planets you can go to, and there are certain planets you can just scan. So the scanning, I've been 100%ing all the things because you just have to scan the planet for like a second, and then it counts towards your progression.
Right.
Side quest wise, though, with some of the planets in the galaxies, there are certain things you can, again, like, there's a fair amount there. It's not overwhelming, like in some RPGs, which I really don't like when there's just millions of different question marks on the map.
Yep, I'm having that experience right now.
Yeah.
Another game.
So in this, it's fine because there's normally maybe like somewhere between 3 to 5 exclamation points of points or interest to explore and go to for a side quest at a time. You do have sort of ongoing ones that branch out between each planet. Some of them are just talking to specific people. But, okay, here's an example of one, just really quick. Very early on, when you first get onto the Nexus, there is a character who is on trial for being the first murder in Andromeda. So you run into his wife, and she asks you if you can investigate it because she knows that her husband couldn't do something like this because the guy was his best friend.
Mm-hmm.
So you talk to the guy, he gives you some information, he's on death row basically, and then, again, if you choose to accept it as a side quest, you can go down to Eos, which is the first planet, and use that scanner that they've showed off a lot, and sort of evaluate where the crime scene was, track down information across the planet's surface, gain knowledge about it, and then once you reach a verdict based on what you find, you can go back and you can talk to the director, Tan, who is a Solarian in charge of basically the entire thing, and you get to decide what happens based on what you find. So it's stuff like that. It is go here, figure this out, make decisions, talk to these people, stuff like that. So it is intertwined as far as what they are. I haven't run into a lot that are just collect these things. There is one ongoing one that is collect these things so you can access data files in your father's room on the Nexus. But that's probably the extent of fetch quest stuff that I've seen.
That's a cool side quest, I think. The one about is the first murder in the whole galaxy.
Yeah, it was really cool the setup for it. But
that's a neat setup, yeah.
Yeah, that one was really early on. I think I did that before my first main story mission.
Cool.
Yeah, but so yeah, Mass Effect is looking to be good. I want to try and take my time with this one. I'm gonna definitely review it once I get done with the main story, but I want to like really explore this universe they've set up because it is fleshed out well. I think they have a lot of stuff in there that's interesting, but I'm interested to see how it continues.
Yeah, cool. I'm excited to check that out at some point.
And you though, you've been playing Nier, right? Nier Automata?
I've been playing that Nier Automata, maybe.
All right.
Yeah, that game's kind of great. It's got some issues, but like, it's a platinum game, right? they teamed up with this dude Yoko Taro, I believe, and he made those. He made obviously the first Nier, and then like those Drakengard games. You remember those at all?
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, there was like 3 of them or something. But basically, what I've got from him is like, up until this point, his games are like pretty janky in gameplay, but have like really well written stories and characters, and like amazing soundtracks. What's up?
I was gonna say, does this continue that trend?
So this kind of continues that trend in super well written characters and stories, and soundtrack. But finally, with Platinum on the development wheels, it feels like it's actually a well playing game. It's got that fast and like fun Bayonetta combat, whatever. It's cool. But yeah, really, it's just that the world that they have, it's like it's kind of asking some weird questions. Like to set it up, you play as like an android who's not really supposed to feel emotion, but you're getting orders and you're constantly asking about like I think what it means to be human. I'm only in my in like about 9 hours in, so I don't really know where it goes yet, but it's doing some really interesting stuff. That story seems cool.
So, is this a typical sort of Platinum-esque game, or is it more along the lines of a sort of an RPG type
This
thing?
is straight up a JRPG. Like,
Alright.
I was actually surprised. Like, it's got all the side quests on the map, and there's a huge open world,
Oh,
and
really?
you gotta walk around. Yeah. So this game has problems, which I should probably get into, but like, the open world in that game is not really fun to traverse at all. And this was a problem the first like 3 hours or so, but then I unlocked fast travel and now it's all okay.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, it was at first I was like, oh no, another open world game right now, which I wasn't really looking forward to. But nah, it's cool, man. You should check it out.
Yeah, I've heard pretty good things about it. Just because of everything going on right now.
Yeah.
I might hold off on it. I'm not sure. The concept does seem interesting, and I like the character design and the world look. But how long do you think it is? Like main quest.
So this is a kind of cool too. But so I've been looking on the internet trying to figure this out, because like when the game first leaked or something, people were saying it was like 10 hours long. But now that like all the diehard fans have played it, it seems like it's closer to like 35 to 40 hours long.
Oh wow!
Because like, I guess there's like 5 endings in this game you have to get, and one of them involves replaying the game with a different character, but I think it's much faster to play through it the second time. And then like apparently like you play through the game a couple times and that's whatever, but then like the third time you replay it, it starts to get crazy, and the fourth time, it's absolutely bananas. That's what I've heard so far. I hear that story gets like really weird.
So is the total playtime of, like you said, 30 to 40 hours, is that including the multiple playthroughs? Or
That's including the multiple playthroughs, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So while the multiple playthrough stuff initially sounded bad to me, because like I don't really know if I want to replay the game again just for another ending, it seems like it's much more than that. Like it's the second playthrough of the game is very different from the first one, apparently.
Okay.
So, yeah, weird game, but like totally cool so far. I hope it does well.
Yeah, well, its PC release was this past week, right?
Yeah, that's how I've been playing it.
Okay. Yeah, well, hopefully it sells, or gets an extra sales boost, I should say,
Yeah.
with the PC audience, because when it came out on PS4, and it was just PS4, right?
Yep.
That was sort of like a unfortunate time to come out, I guess.
Well, it came out like in between. It was on the same day as Ghost Recon, right?
Yeah.
But it was after Horizon and Zelda. So yeah, like it was the same week as Zelda and Horizon, actually, like in terms of 7 days from Horizon to Nier.
Yeah, and
Zelda was right in there.
And just because of the marketing push that Ghost Recon's had over the past few weeks, that kind of gave it more of the spotlight.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think it was always going to be kind of a weird like small game for a certain type of audience.
Yeah, well, most of Platinum's games are like that.
Totally. And you know, you just hope that it was budgeted in a way that makes it profitable no matter what.
Yeah,
So,
hopefully.
yeah. It's a cool game.
Yeah, well, do you think... So this is a sequel, though, right, to the original Nier?
Yeah, so this is a sequel to Nier, but I believe those 3 Drakengard games I was talking about
Hmm.
are in the same universe too.
Okay.
So I think this game is set like many thousands of years after the first Nier,
Hmm.
which I never played, but I hear the same thing that Nier game is supposed to have a really great story. So
That's cool then. Yeah, hopefully it warrants enough sales to continue or through some DLC or another sequel
yeah,
because
or another collaboration between like Platinum and Yoko Taro because
yeah, a
it's
lot of the
interesting.
yeah, a lot of the stuff I've seen for this online is nothing but like love about the world and everything involving this game.
Yeah, she mentioned because I brought this up in the last part about Mass Effect, but the side quests in this games aren't very good.
Okay.
There's a lot of them, and they're pretty. They kind of ruin your map if you
Yeah,
accept
I hate
all of
that.
them, and then they're kind of tedious. And they actually have some interesting stories,
Hmm.
but man, I really don't like playing those side quests.
Yeah, so overall, light week, I guess. Andromeda's cool. Nier sounds cool.
Yeah, pretty light. I mean, Mass Effect did come out this week.
I know, and it feels like it should be bigger than it is.
Yeah, yeah,
Again, I think it's probably just because of the whole controversy over the past week and a half is making it feel less big than it should, because this is supposed to be one of the year's biggest releases.
right. I think it's that whole I think there's the people being crazy about the animation stuff,
Hmm.
and then also it's the I think Mass Effect 3 did sour people in the series.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be
Yeah,
interested to see moving forward, though.
totally. I wonder if they continued this series or they just like drop it and just remake not remake but like make a new Mass Effect game in another universe.
Do you mean like Mass Effect 4, just like start anew?
Like yeah, I mean like instead of like if this is supposed to be like a new setting for Mass Effect, instead of them making a direct sequel to Andromeda, maybe they just go make Mass Effect a new galaxy after this.
Oh, so like an anthology type thing?
Yeah,
That'd be
or
cool.
like I don't know, maybe they'll just drop the plans for this trilogy and do something else.
Yeah, I don't know.